Hey, good people. We got something good coming your way today, and that is this harvest pie. You don't have to make a choice between pumpkin pie or sweet potato. You got it all in one. Now, you can always convert to one or the other. Just replace the pumpkin with sweet potato and vice versa, the sweet potato with a pumpkin. And so this is how we're going to start off with a sweet potato. It's about the size of a fist. We're going to use roughly a heaping cup of sweet potato and a heaping cup of pumpkin. As you can see, I'm really struggling. I have washed and dried this potato, and now I'm just putting some vent holes in it. Roasting helps the sweet potato to be sweeter. Can't you see those sugars there? That caramel? You have really got to roast your potatoes instead of boiling them. Now, some sweet potatoes can be a little bit more fibrous. You know, those little hairs that stick up in your little puree there or your mash. I start off with a mixer, and I have this whip attachment because I'm just trying to whip it to see if I can get some of those fibers out. Now, I've been lucky that this year my sweet potatoes have been limited on those little hairs. Now, if you don't have a stand mixer, that's fine. You can use a hand mixer. And if not, you can mash this all by hand. This really is a very simple pie recipe. And now I'm just going to scrape it down, making sure that that whip attachment is hitting every bit of that filling. And now I'm going to switch it over to the paddle attachment. And of course, we don't have a lot of fibers at all. So now we're going to move on over to the pumpkin. And I'm just using regular canned pumpkin. I don't have the time to be roasting, and I don't even know if it even makes a difference. I'm sure some of you pumpkin pie connoisseurs out there can let me know. I grew up on sweet potato pie. I didn't start actually eating pumpkin pie until a little bit in my early 20s. And I'm just going to blend them both together really well, just for a few minutes. Now, everybody has a preference. Some people like their pies really soft and creamy. And some people, like myself, I like my pies a little bit on the firmer side. So I'm going to add 3 eggs to this. Typically, folks add about two. I'm also going to reduce the amount of the liquids in this pie. There you go. You don't have to even beat them before you add it in. And I'm just going to blend it up until I add my sugars. Now I'm using brown sugar and white granulated sugar. You could go all brown or you can go all white. I'm using 3/4 cup of the white sugar and a half a cup of the brown sugar packed, of course. Now, this is not a super sweet pie. You can always add about a 1/4 cup more of whichever sugar you choose to make it sweeter. But it is really a perfectly balanced pie recipe. And of course, here's my favorite, all those wonderful spices. We got cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, and clove. You can look at the description for the recipe. Now I'm just mixing it up. Of course, if you want to make it a little bit more spicy, you can double those spices up. I love a spicy pumpkin or a spicy sweet potato pie, but I've chosen to, like I said, keep it a little balanced. And I think the spices are actually perfect in it. Just a little bit of salt I threw up in there. You can add the salt and the spices at the same time. I'm also adding a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and I'm going to add a tablespoon of lemon juice. It just brightens it up just a little. Now, growing up, we always use what we call the pet milk. Every evaporated milk was called pet milk. I'm starting off with a half of a cup. There we go. It isn't reduced in fat or anything. And I'm just starting off a little bit at a time. Now there are times when I even decrease that even more. I got a quarter cup of melted butter going in. Sometimes I will take that butter and increase it to a stick of butter and then decrease the milk down for a more richer pie. And I'm just looking and stirring a little bit just to see the consistency. And at this point, I just want to make sure that everything is mixed pretty well and is at the right consistency. I think a half a cup does pretty well. Now, for my sweet potato or pumpkin pies, normally I do not blind bake or pre bake my crust, but that's up to you. Oh, see, that's just a little bit of fiber I just wanted you to see. So, all I'm going to do is just pour it in my unbaked pie crust. You can make it homemade or you can buy a store bought. It really doesn't matter. You can see I actually made a homemade pie crust, a mixture of shortening and butter. Although I love an all butter crust. Now you're going to preheat your oven to 350 degrees. If you would like, you can actually cover your pie crust edges with aluminum foil, or you can start out with it uncovered and see how it goes. And what you're going to see towards the end of the cooking is it's going to puff up. It's around that time that you'll start noticing the center is still uncooked and the edges are cooked. It'll be slightly uncooked in the middle. That's when you know it's done. And pardon my little lighting there, but now, as you can see, I've just taken it out the oven and it is finished. You're going to let it cool for 2 hours before you put it in the fridge. And of course, cooling it is important because if not, it's going to get condensation. Learn from me. If that happens, put a paper towel over and you're going to cover it with plastic wrap. When you take it back out, let it sit for at least 30 minutes. Thank you for watching. And if you would like some more warm, comforting food to watch, take a look right here. See you guys on the next one.